Hello there and welcome to We Are Crafted in His Image. Today we are starting on our June 2022 Cocoa and Crafts class, and this month we're going to be using the Blessings of Home stamp set. Isn't it absolutely gorgeous? Love this very large image. It makes it very easy to do a project. I love it as a background stamp. So anyway, we're going to get started. Since this is the first one, I'm going to show you what comes in your kit. Of course, the kit comes with the stamp set. And we have Petal Pink ink, we have Soft Suede ink, and we have Smoky Slate ink. And these are colors you wouldn't typically think of with flowers, but this color is going to give it kind of a vintage vibe to several of our projects. And then, of course, you have your 4 projects in your little packages, and of course some kind of chocolate. So this is Cocoa and Crafts. I found out several of my ladies prefer white chocolate, so that's what we have this month, is some white chocolate in there to snack on while you're crafting. So now this week's project is going to require some coloring, and my kit's a little different than everybody else's because I only have stuff in here to do 1 card, whereas your kit has everything you need to do 2 cards. So this is a card that we are going to make, and yeah, I love it. I love the vintage feel to it. I think it's very pretty, very elegant. So we're going to get started. In your kit you've got your envelopes. One of them goes here. I actually didn't stamp on my sample, but I will on this one. Yours does not have a pre-colored one. I did this for earlier, so you don't have to watch me color, but we will do some. You've got your base. This is the piece we need. Let's see. And we'll need this piece as well. So let's go ahead and move things out of the way and we'll get started with our stamping. Yeah. I'm going to start with this one. So, open this up. This is our red rubber stamp, our cling stamps. They have the really cool clingy sticker on the back. And whoops. And I'm going to need a large block for this one. I like to flip them over and then set the block on. There we go. Now, one thing that is not included in your kit is a black ink. Memento ink is the one I'm going to be using, but you do want one that's either water resistant, like Memento, or waterproof. So this was the one I will be using. But first, starting with this one, we're going to use our soft suede. So let me get a scrap piece of paper, pull in the back of one of my old calendar pages, and go ahead and ink up this stamp. Now when I have a big stamp like this, I prefer to ink upside down this way, that I can verify that I'm getting ink everywhere. There we go. And what I'm going to do right now is basically just get some images around the edge, so that, I don't know if you can see it very well in there, but it just gives it a little bit of a pattern. We're going to make our own pattern paper with it. So stamp there. I will, since I'm only going to get a little bit of each, I think I'll do it this way. There we go. I'm not worried about the whole thing. And then I'll just do the tip there. Okay, so that's all we're going to need for that. While I have the soft suede out, I am going to go and grab my envelopes. I'll grab this one. This one I am going to go ahead and ink upside down. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do, make sure I have the right one, I'm going to do like this whole side. Leave a little room for an address and an address. Oh, love it. I'm gonna do my other one too while I have it out. Oh wait, I gotta watch. In one of these, you've got your rhinestones. That's the only thing in the envelope, is just some rhinestones. Glad I caught that before I stamped on it. I wouldn't have gotten a very good image there. There we go. Envelope's finished. I'm not going to color those. I do need to wash this off really quick so that we can ink it up with some black for the next part. Get that cleaned. Alright, so now what we're going to do, and actually this step I should have done first, and that is to stamp this so that it has a few minutes to dry before I do the coloring. So what I'm going to do is stamp, and then I will pause the video and come back and color once it's dry. You do want to make sure that ink is nice and dry before you do any watercoloring. Now I know I only need like half of this image, but I'm going to go ahead and ink up a good portion of it. And setting this here, let's see, I think I want about that much. Yeah, almost the whole thing. There we go. So pretty. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and pause, and I'll be back in a few minutes once this is dry. Okay, I am back, and this is pretty much dry, but I'm going to set it aside and go ahead and do a few more steps before I get to watercoloring it. So grab out, you should have a white strip in your kit, and I am going to stamp on one side, and I just gave you a scrap, so it is not cut to the size that you need. We're going to cut that down with a pair of paper snips. I'm doing the Have a Perfect Birthday, and I'm going to stamp it to one side, giving me, oh, I don't know, a half inch or so, 3/4 of an inch extra on the end there. That's not too bad. A little bit high on the side. So I'm going to flip it over and let's try again. This time, bring my side down just a hair. Try that again. Oh, that's better. That's better. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, grab my gray strip, this is Smoky Slate, grab my white one, and I'm going to grab my paper snips, and holding them both together as evenly as I can, I'm going to go ahead and just cut on an angle, like that, and then I'm going to turn these around. And I can kind of see the gray through this, so I'm like a shadow. So I'm checking to see if this distance and this distance is about the same. And now I'm going to go ahead and cut. And that way both sides are going to be the same angle. That makes sense? There we go. So that part is ready. Ready to go. And you can change that angle to whatever you want it to be. Little bit. This one looks like it's a bit sharper than my original. So totally up to you on how you want to do that. And now I'm going to do a little bit of watercolor. I'm not going to do a ton. I'm not going to do the whole thing because as I showed you, I already have one finished coloring, but I do want to show you how I did this. Okay, I'm doing an edit here. I went back to edit the video before and realized that when I zoomed in to do the project, I then ended up moving the project off screen and you couldn't see what I was doing. So I'm going to do this really quick just to show you a little bit of how I did the watercoloring on the flowers. So let me open up, I want the soft suede. And I'm going to use just one of our small blocks here. And actually, let me switch this to manual focus so it doesn't keep adjusting as I move. I'm going to put a little bit of color in two opposite corners of the block. And then I can move that out of my way. Then I'm going to take my water painter and I'm just going to I'm going to squeeze a little bit of water. Maybe, there it goes, onto the block so that I get a very watered down soft color. I actually think I need a little bit more water on this one. There we go. I want a very, very soft color of that soft suede. Let me grab this because I use that to wipe off the excess water. There we go. So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick up some of that, the lighter shade, and going into one of the petals, and I'm going to brush that all the way to the end of the petal. You make sure you can still see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to pick up some of the darker color and touch that at the very base of the petal, and then allow it to just kind of bleed into the rest of that petal like that, okay? Let me do another one. Let's see if I can get myself in a spot where I know you can see what I'm doing. pick up some of that lighter color. Now you notice when I did it before, I did not do two petals right next to each other because you don't want the colors to then bleed into each other. So I kind of skipped every other petal. I'm gonna fill in with the lighter color, pick up some of the darker, and just touch it to the base of the petal. And you'll see it'll kind of bleed out. If you have too much of that dark on your brush, just wipe it off and then come in and touch the edges and let it blend. Okay, one more. Just that lighter color all over. Pick up the darker color, put it at the base. And there you go. That is how I did the flowers themselves, and basically the leaves were the exact same, only using the smoky slate instead. So I'll show you again. I just put a little bit of color in two opposite corners, like that. Put this where you can see it. Drop some color on one of those corners, some water, sorry. So you soften that up. This is you almost can't even tell that that's gray. And then come in on your leaf. Fill that in with some of that light gray color, and then pick up your concentrated color and touch it to the base of the leaf where the shadows are going to be. Now you do want to make sure like your petal here is dry before you do that. Otherwise, I don't know if you can see very well, but it's starting to bleed into that petal just a little bit there. It's because I had too much water and this one was wet and it kind of bled into it. So you want to make sure that's dry. Same thing, if I were going to do this leaf, I will wait until this one's fully dry. Otherwise that dark intense color here will blend onto the light area of this leaf, and I don't want that to happen. So the small leaves are super quick to do. You simply brush on, and I do a couple of those at a time. I'll brush on that lighter color and then come in with the darker color and just touch it at the base of the leaf. That's it. It's super quick and easy. So there you go. That's how I did the coloring on all of these flowers. I used the soft suede on the petals on all of them, and then I used the smoky slate on the leaves, and I left the centers white. So there you go. Now back to the rest of the video. Let's get our card base in here. Find all my pieces and parts that I need. I'm going to go ahead and fold this up. Home folder. And did I stamp anything on the inside? I did not. I left it blank on the inside. So we need our soft suede layer. Grab out my stamp and seal. Alright, and go ahead and put that on. These have a larger border around them than I typically do on my cards. Mostly because once I put this layer on, I wanted you to be able to see that flower on there. Now, because we did watercolor on this, you'll notice that the edges are very warped. So you're going to want to make sure you have adhesive all around this piece. A lot of times on my other pieces, I just put a little bit on each edge. I don't do all of the edges. But if you don't, you're going to end up with it lifting, especially in the corners and stuff, or even sometimes right smack in the middle, you'll have a spot lifted up. So you're going to want to go ahead and make sure you've got adhesive on there, okay? And then we'll stick this down. Again, there's a larger than usual border on this. Get those edges down. Okay, and then what I did here, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and put some adhesive right along the very bottom. Come on, catch. I see you there. There we go. I want to make sure none of it's sticking off the edge. Some of it is, because I was doing it towards the edge. And then I'm going to go ahead and kind of offset it on my my gray so it looks like a shadow. And then we're going to put some dimensionals on the back of this. Here we go. Grab my dimensionals. Oh, come on. There we go. I'll grab my trash cup. I do like having my little teacup here for this. It has saved me from having dimensional backings on everything in my house, including my dog's nose. Alright, set this on here. I have it, you can see I have it slightly off the edge of the white. There we go. And then the last step is a couple of rhinestones. And I know I've mentioned this before, I love these champagne rhinestones. The color is just so pretty. And it goes perfect with this color scheme. Ah, come on, come on. There we go, third one. I do like to do my rhinestones in groups of 3 or 5, odd numbers. And there you have our first finished card and coordinating envelope. What do you think? Do you like it? Do you like the colors that we picked up for this one? I think it's very pretty. So I will be back next week with project number 2, which pulls in a little bit of our petal pink color. So until then, God's love and blessings to you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.